Hi, everybody. I am Wendy Glenn, and I am a homeschool mom of three.
And I'm Jennifer Cole, a homeschool mom with one.
And today we are going to talk about high school transcripts or just transcripts in general and the transcripts you will need throughout your journey or throughout your child's journey going to school or going to college. Either or, right?
Yes.
Anyway, yes.
Getting
Okay.
into a dual credit program,
Yes.
and then after the dual credit program, in order to apply to university to
Yes.
finish.
Yes. So we'll start, well, I guess to get into a dual credit program. Do you want to
I will share
open
my
up the thing?
screen
It
and
is the same, it is like you can use the same template. There it is.
yeah,
You can use the same template for both. However, to get into a dual credit program, you literally wipe out half of the page. You need
right.
one, you need one section, um, like as in what it has up here as the freshman. You take off freshman, you just put the year before.
Oh, wait, here.
So for Jennifer's son, last year, right?
Right.
She would put last year, whatever last year was,
Yeah,
eighth grade.
yeah, what I did is I did like a eighth grade, and then I did a freshman here so they could see that we've already started some high school type of classes in our homeschool program that will be incorporated with the dual credit classes that we'll also be taking at the school, at the college.
Now, when I did it for my son, I literally just did the year before, what he took the year before, and
Mhm.
left it at that, right? You don't actually have to do anymore.
Right.
All you have to do is show what they did the prior year. Now, for going into a 2 year college, you do not have to have it notarized. And obviously, you don't need it completely filled out. You can literally wipe off half of it.
Right. You just
You
need
just,
this.
they just need the year before. They really only need the year before,
Mhm.
and they need it signed by you, and that's
Right.
it.
Down at the
Right? It
bottom,
was
there's the place
super,
for signature
yes, it was
right here.
super simple,
And
super
actually,
easy.
yeah, you don't even need to have it notarized. You just have to
No,
sign.
yes,
Notarize, the notarization comes after they've completed all of their classes and you're going
yes.
to submit this to a university.
Absolutely, yes. So yes, so like Jennifer said, so when I got my son into the first community college for his 2 year degree, and now Jennifer is bringing her son in. All you need is the first section. You do have to fill out obviously their name and all that kind of stuff. They need that, and then you just fill out what they did the year before, and then you're done. Now to get into a university, that is different. You need to fill out the whole entire form.
Right. I'm going to
um,
go back here.
yes. Okay, look, and I'm gonna be looking down. I'm gonna look at my son's. Oh, look, you can
Hmm.
kind of see it, kind of not. But
Yes.
you do have to fill out the whole top, obviously, with your school name, your telephone number. For district, I left the private homeschool thing up
Hmm.
there.
So for
Um,
school name, let's stop a second here.
yes,
You can make up whatever you want. You can
yes,
call it, for us, Cole Academy, because that's our
yes.
last name. You maybe you went to a co-op or something like that, and you could put that. I mean, you could put anything you want. It could say
Yes.
the School of Nothingness. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I'm just
I,
saying.
I would make
th-
it a little bit more
I mean, I
professional than
wouldn't call
that.
it that, but I'm just saying, like, you could name it
You
anything.
you
There's
can.
no
A lot of
rules.
people do use their last names, or I've heard some really cute ones. Feather Academy, and we used my maiden name for ours. Use a grand like my family actually has a school in Massachusetts. It used to be a school. I had to look it up, so we changed it a little bit. So if it was Googled, it didn't look like we were that school in Boston that was closed down.
Right.
Back in the
Exactly.
1900s, we had to switch it up a little bit, but yeah, yeah, you can make it whatever you choose. And
Right.
then obviously your student's name and
Name.
address, their social security number, their date of birth, obviously all those things. And
Hmm.
then, parent or guardian's name, the, all kind of very
Standard.
self-explanatory, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, when you get down, to the first set of classes. Going into a 4-year university, you do need to check with the university if your child knows which ones, the sooner the better, which ones they want to go to. For the simple fact is some universities do have requirements that you have to meet. Some will surprise you, right?
Based on the
Um,
amount of credit hours that you need in order to apply, correct?
yes,
Right.
that, and there are still some universities that do want to see a quote unquote high school student coming in with a foreign language or things like that, right? Some do not care, some
Right.
require that. Now I'm going to,
Prerequisites.
yes. So you do have to look at the colleges that your child wants to apply to. Some do not care about those things. Also, some universities do require SATs or ACTs.
Hmm.
Even homeschooling, you can still do those. You can do those through your local high school.
Hmm.
Um, I think they're like, I'm going to say 80 or $90 or something like that. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's been a
really,
long time since my oldest took those, so it's been a
I'm
minute.
not 100, I'm not 100% sure. I believe that's what, because Dylan looked it up, but he has not taken them. He did not
But
have to take them.
yeah, some schools won't require it, especially if you're going in with a completed dual credit program, you'll have an
Yes.
associate's degree, so you won't
Yes,
need it.
exactly. So, SFA took his transcripts. Now, my son actually did do 2 years of a foreign language, so that is on there. Things to put on your transcript. This is where Jennifer hates me when I say certain things because she's like, that just sounds wrong. It just sounds wrong. Now, I will say this. You can make, I won't say make things up, but you can put things on there. Like, I mean, if your child was in high school, they have work programs and your child gets credit
Right.
for the work program. So if your
So,
child has a job, you can put it on their transcript as a work credit. This particular um, template, if you look at it, it has all different things on it to use, right?
right.
Um,
So you can
civics
include
class.
work study and you can
Yes, you can
include
include work studies. You can
other
include,
types of extracurricular activities. So if they
yes,
volunteer somewhere, if they belong to a
yes.
certain type of a program or a group or a
Or a
club.
group or a club. Yes. And they do those type things, right? Um, I actually put on my son's high school transcript that he did driver's ed. He did do a whole driver's ed
Mhm.
program. He got his license. A civics class. We used certain things that he's been doing as that civics class. Did he actually take a civics class as in like using a textbook and taking tests? No. Do they have to do that? No. I mean, if your child likes to cook, in high school, you can take home ec classes. You can take, if they
Mhm.
cook, if they sew, if they do these types of things, you can put that on their transcript as a class that they've taken, right? It does
Right.
not have to be, I don't want people to think that it has to be a online program
Structured
or a
class.
book, like
Hmm.
out of a necessarily like text book, right? You can
Right.
do real life experiences. At
Well,
the high schools do real life experiences
right.
as
Well, for
credits, right?
example, in high school, you get credit for PE, right?
Yes.
We started a class that's actually a class that's offered through his Time for Learning program called Lifetime Fitness. And we started going through, and I
Yes.
realized, okay, well, we're talking about health, diet, weight training, all this stuff. And I'm like, well, this is useless information if you don't know what to actually do with it in a gym. So
Yes.
part of Lifetime Fitness was things that I just felt like were better taught if
In
they
real
were
life.
in an applied situation, right? Like we don't
Yes.
need to look at videos of how to do weight training exercises. We need to go to the gym and do some weight training exercises, right? So, I got him a journal to start doing a food diary, and we're going to the actual gym. Not yet. We have to wait till he turns 13, but
Couple more months.
right. So I had to postpone some of it, but you know, we're learning how to do this stuff hands-on where we really can apply it to our real life. and that's how it needs to be taught. So, I mean, if you were in PE in high school, you'd be going to the gym facilities there anyways.
Yes,
It's the same
absolutely.
thing. So
Yes.
that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. So like I said, there's some things that absolutely they need real life experience to do these things, right? I mean, I took home ec back in school. I took, you know, if your child has they can do a finance class, right? Um, a lot of high schools offer some kind of it's usually under a math, right? They do some kind of
Hmm.
financial classes, right? I know I took one back when I was in high school. I don't really know if I know some will offer them now, some don't.
Yeah,
It just depends.
not
You
going
know,
to be the same as
whereas
it used to
most
be. They used to teach you how to write checks and stuff.
exactly. I took one of those classes where they taught me how to do a checkbook, and these are real life things so that your children need. They say writing a check is becoming a thing of the past, but honestly, if I go downtown to pay my trash bill and I pay with my credit card, they charge me, or I can write a check and they don't charge me extra money, right?
Hmm.
So if you want to keep your bills as low as possible and keep those fees away, right? You write a check. You still need to know how to write a check. And I did take one of those classes. You can teach your kids how to do it. You don't actually have to necessarily follow a specific course. This is something that they can do in real life. They have teenage uh, checking accounts they can get. They can't get checkbooks yet until they're 18, but they can still learn how to manage their money and do all those type things,
Oh, yeah,
right?
mine's
These are
great at
real life
managing his money.
experiences.
He says, Mom, I would like to leave mine in the savings account and use yours.
Yeah,
That's what I want
exactly.
to do because
Yes, I
I
want to
like
save
how
my
this
money.
looks and I would like to keep it there. So that's
I don't
that's
care how yours looks. I would like to use yours and keep
yeah.
mine looking good.
So he loves to save money and watch that account build up, which I guess that part's good, but then he just doesn't want to spend any of his. So it's tough to make him part with it. He doesn't want
And
to.
he's still young, but but as maybe as a high school course, you can, get put some of those things in there. But anyway, you can decide what your child's classes look like, right?
Yes.
Um, and you can, include those things on their transcript. So you should be able to fill out their transcript and have plenty of classes to completely fill in their transcript.
Which brings me to a point that I don't know if we've brought up in the past, which is the dual credit program at the college or university does not have all the credits that you need in order to graduate high school.
No, no.
So
Well, no. Yeah.
that's
I
correct.
mean,
So
yeah,
you could go
no,
there and you'd be like, well, I have all the classes I need to get my associates,
but
but
that's
not
two
to
years.
actually graduate from high school. So if you're filling out your high school transcript and sending that to the university to get accepted, you need more credits than what the college is giving you. You
Yes.
need to have
Yes. So
other
you are going to
activities.
need some external classes. Yes. Which that's when driver's ed comes in. That's
Mhm.
when, all these
PE,
money
home economics.
management. Yes.
Well, and you know what else
Yes.
we're doing?
Yes.
In order to pass the TSI test here in Texas, you need to have Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, which count
Yes.
towards high
Which
school
count.
credit. If we want to take
Absolutely.
geometry, that counts. My son absolutely loves literature. We're going to count that. We're reading books that
That's in
are on
English.
the
I mean,
literature.
you want it to eventually resemble, it doesn't have to exactly match, but you do want it to resemble a high school transcript had they gone to a public school,
Right.
right?
What
You
would you
can, you
need
can,
to be like prepared for life and prepared to
yes,
go to college?
yes, exactly. So you are going to want to make sure they have four maths to get your associate. You actually really only need one, depending on what associate you're getting.
Yeah,
Dylan
no.
passed the TSI math.
We need
Dylan
two
passed
maths.
Dylan passed the TSI math for
Hmm.
one math class.
For one
Now,
math.
for his degree, he took accounting one and accounting two. I count those as math. The college does not count those as math classes.
Yeah, they're
Accounting one and
business
accounting two.
classes.
They are business classes. They are not
Hmm.
math classes. However, for his high school, I counted them as a math class, right? And then
Yeah,
he
that's
did take
fair.
a couple of math classes and he did take the what he took algebra, and he actually took two. math classes through the college. He took what did he take? He took algebra, and then he took, I want business math. That's what it was. He took business math and algebra through the college. And then, but yeah, you can take TSI prep classes and count those as a class, right? You
Yes.
can order the TSI study guides online, and that can be a high school class for your child, getting them ready to pass the TSI. That's
Yes.
an absolutely like acceptable class, right? You teach your child how to pass the TSI, they go and take it and pass it, and
They
that
do it in
is
public school. I mean, you're going to have to
exactly,
take
that's a
a
class right
PSAT
there.
test and take those courses.
Yes.
Also, like Orion's course of study is going to be a little bit more technical and a little bit more intensive in the math section. So we're
Yes.
going to have to get those algebra classes done fairly quickly and get that TSI test passed because he has to take college algebra and calculus 1.
Mm-hmm.
So it's because it's not a business class, it's actually more of like a science and math oriented type of class, more towards like computer engineering, right? So he also has to take either a physics or chemistry with a lab, which is going
Yes.
to be fun because I remember taking that in college. He's going to hate it.
Yeah, maybe. Now something else I do want to point out. So Dylan took most of his classes for college that he took for his dual credit program were, we'll say, one semester class, right? So when I wrote his transcript out, how I did it is,
Hmm.
and this is how the call or how the high schools do it too, right?
I'm going to
So
share again so we can show this because this
yes,
is important to show
this is
what things
okay.
count for.
So if you look for right here under credits, right? And it shows one credit or half a credit. So if the course that he took was for a full year, right? It was one credit. If it was for a, even though he did mostly 8-week classes, we still counted them as a one semester, right? So they were a half of credits.
Hmm.
So if he took the class all year, that's one credit. If it was so all his dual credit classes were point 0.5. They were half a credit
Hmm.
for his high school. And in Texas, to graduate from high school, Texas says that they need between 22, I think, 22 and 26 credits for high school. And so I made sure when he graduated, he had 23 credits. So he was right there kind of in the middle. So
Right.
that he
So,
exceeded the lowest amount, but he didn't need usually I know in our town our high school actually offers some trade skills too, so they can graduate with certificates and things like that.
hmm.
And usually when they graduate with those certificates, they actually do have closer to, the 26 credits. I know he graduated with an associate's degree, but I didn't want to go overboard. So, yeah, we graduated him with 23 credits, and that's just how we broke it down. Like I said, was if he took it for the full year, it was one credit, and if he took it for like half a year semester, it was a half a credit.
Right.
And it's
So
very
the way the college does it, they give you 20 classes, which is about
yes,
3 credits a piece,
yes,
except for
yes,
maybe the ones with the lab that count
science,
as
yes,
4.
those there are four, yes,
But those equate to the 3 credits in college equate to half a credit for high school, right? So
yes,
the 60 credits that you'll get in the complete dual credit program only count as 15 towards your high school total
yes,
of
and that would
22 to
be
26.
and that's how it would be if they were in high school doing, because you can do dual credit through the high school. The
Hmm.
difference is when you're homeschooled through a high school, usually the high school only allows a student to do certain classes. So they cannot usually, some schools may be different, but usually the norm is that a student can only graduate with, I believe, don't quote me on this, like half the credits, like maybe instead of 60 college credits, it's like
Yeah,
30-ish.
they only
They're
allow
they're
you a
not
certain
allowed to
number.
take, yeah,
Hmm.
they're not allowed to take a whole associate's degree um, before they graduate, unless they do it on their own time, not through the high school.
Yeah, not through the
But
school.
through the high school, they're not allowed to, usually, for the most part. And I say for the most part, that's the norm, not always the deal, right? Some people can graduate. Some schools will allow you to graduate with an associate's. Most don't. But yes, so you would have 60 credits, 60 college credits,
Right.
but yes, not 60 high school credits.
15, right? Is it 15?
Yes,
Yeah,
because it
because
would
it's
be
three
roughly,
credits.
yeah,
So no, 3 credits. So that's 20, 20, 40, 60. Yeah. So if you
yeah.
have 60 college credits, you're looking at 20 high school credits, which means you need, 2 to 4.
No, you need more than, no, Jennifer, your math is off.
Is it?
Yes,
It's been a
yes.
long day.
It has been a long day and your math is off.
Was I right the first time?
Yes, or
I don't
closer
know.
to it. Closer
Anyway,
to it.
the point is the math is different for each one. So in the
Yes,
college, you're going to get 3 credits, but in high school, it only counts as a half a
a
credit.
half.
Right. So you have to make sure you do that conversion so that when you fill this form out, that you're filling in extra classes and activities so that you end up at the bottom here with the correct number of total credits.
Yes, and like this example gives you what? Well, it gives you 20. What is that? 29 and a half credit.
29, yes.
Yes,
But
and
this
they
is
don't need that many. They really don't need that many.
5, 6. And
It's
this is,
eight. It's roughly 8 classes a year.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Why am I doing math on this day? This is not the
I
day
don't
for me to do
know.
math. Um, yeah. So, I mean, it just depends on how long they're going to take to do the program too, right? Because it's
Mhm.
set up to be done in 2 years. So
Yes,
5 credits or 5 classes per semester. But
yes.
your kid may not be doing that many. Like my kid's not going to do 5 classes per semester. It's way too much.
Neither
And
did
we're not
Dylan.
going to do it in 2 years. So we're going to spread it out. So, we'll do a couple at home, we're going to do a couple at the school, and we're not going to sweat it because if you start them early enough, you don't have to push through this. You can take your time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
that's what we're going to
Well,
do.
like, okay, so full credit for a state university is 4 classes a semester. That is full time. That's 8 classes a year. Now, to get your associates in 2 years, you have to take five
Mhm.
classes. So for Dylan, he did 4 classes a semester. So it took him 2.5 years because he needed that extra semester to get the last 4 classes. He needed an extra semester because he didn't take those while he was going through. So
Yeah.
yes, it takes a little less time, right? I mean, I guess
Yeah.
that's what you say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
and the
it
other
took
thing
more
is too,
time. I
like
mean,
more time. And if you start them early, then you do give yourself a little bit of leeway so that if, for example, you find out they want to go to a college that has, or university to finish, that has certain prerequisites. Can I say that? Oh my God. Prerequisites that they haven't taken yet. The school will let them continue taking classes even if they finish their degree, like they did with your son. So you could finish your degree course of study and you still have time left before you feel like you're old enough to, or you're ready to go to the university to complete. You can take some extra classes that will fulfill some of those prerequisites if there are some required for the classes and the course of study that you want to go to at the university.
mhm.
So sometimes it's
I
nice to
would
have that
I
little
highly
time
recommend.
extra.
Exactly. Well, I highly recommend taking any classes that can transfer. Do those dual credit instead of waiting until you get to university. Because why would you want to pay like $900 a class, or do you want to pay like
Mhm.
170 something dollars a class, right?
Yes,
I mean, who doesn't want to pay, less? Like, we'll just say that,
that's a good point too. The more
right?
you
I
can
mean,
take care of here, the less you have to pay full price for when you become an official adult. Hmm.
Yes, exactly. Now I'm going to say that Dylan did not have to take any other the PSAT, the SAT, or the ACTs to get into Stephen F. Austin because he had already taken the TSI in Texas and he had already had his associate's degree. So transferring with an associate's degree gives you a little more leeway and space too, and that is how he got into UT. What is it? Utah University or the University of Utah is what it is, the University of Utah. Um, anyway, he got into that as a transfer student because he already had his associate's degree. So he got his acceptance letter without any other tests or anything like that. So it's doable, it's manageable, and again, you can pretty much pick most of any other college. I mean, as long as you have good grades at your local community college. He got in without me even sending his high school transcript to the University of Utah. I had not sent in anything. It said it was waived because he already had his associates.
Yes, because he had a degree.
Yes,
So that's also the benefit of making sure you actually complete the program and get
yes,
that piece of paper because you can, a lot of times you can just turn that in and say, hey, I got this. And they go,
yep,
okay, well, you can just start
yes,
from here. You're good.
yep. They got Dylan's transcript from Lamar Orange, and they said, okay, he had good grades for Lamar Orange, and so they accepted him at UT. Like I said, without me sending his high school transcript or him taking any SATs, ACTs, or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, it depends on what your transcript looks like from the college, but they did take that as a big consideration, and they took him not as a freshman but as a transfer student.
Mhm.
So it's like I said, it's all doable. And again, we're not necessarily pushing college and saying, to homeschool your kid has to go to college. But, this is again a learning tool, a learning um, option, right? I mean, some kids that we know that homeschool just homeschool all the way through high school and don't do this option.
Yeah.
But it is an option. Again, if your child knows in a direction that they want to go, or I mean, for me, my son didn't know what direction he wanted to go. So I'm like, well, this is what you're going to have to do then, right?
Yeah, but
Like,
he got a business
this is,
degree, and that can be applicable
he
to
did.
so many different courses of study. I mean, you
Yes.
you can go in and choose something that is kind of a general field of studies, so they're not specifically tied into one particular thing.
No.
So it,
And
yeah.
like, I mean, I'm just going to there's a couple of things that, I like to follow one of the professors from Duke. He does a whole bunch of, TikToks. And, he's like, it doesn't really matter what your degree is in, what it says. He's a professor now, but his degree is not in teaching or anything to do with that. He's like, it's just your degree is just a stepping stone, a cornerstone of the rest of your life. And you don't necessarily have to finish your life in your degree is not the end all be all, right? It's
Right,
just saying
right.
it's a certificate. It's a piece of paper saying your degree is a piece of paper saying that you have the ability to learn, that you want to learn, that you can learn, and that you can do these things, right?
Mhm.
I mean, my brother-in-law, he'll probably kill me if he sees this, but my brother-in-law, he went to school for computer science and now he's a police chief. Totally not what his degree is in.
No, but
It
it
doesn't
proves that
matter.
you're an educated person, right?
Exactly.
You've
Right.
had higher learning and you're an educated person, and it doesn't have to
Yes.
be in that course of study. Um,
Exactly.
you know,
Absolutely. And so, I mean, again, local community colleges, look into them. You say, well, my son wants to be a welder. Well, some of them offer welding classes so he could get all his certificates, or your
you
daughter.
also can't be a police officer without going to school unless you have
No.
prior experience in something that's like that, like
Well, he had
either
to go to the police
military
academy.
He
He went through the police academy and stuff
yeah, I
like
was gonna
that.
say the
But yeah.
military or previously at like criminal justice at the prison or something. So like, you know, there's certain jobs that you're going to get, that it doesn't matter what your college degree is. It could be in baking cakes, but you have to have one to get a
Yes.
job,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
I
And that's what
mean,
I try and tell Dylan because Dylan's like stressing over his major. He's like, I really don't know if I want to stay in business or what field of business I want to go in. I said, it doesn't matter. I'm
no,
like,
it
it doesn't
doesn't.
matter.
Because
It doesn't
even
matter.
now, like I
Don't
work
stress it.
remotely and I work in the IT space, but if you look online for remote work, because I always have people asking me like, hey, you know, I want a job like yours. Well, it's really hard to find. Remote jobs, a lot of them require college degree of some
Mhm.
sort. And it doesn't specifically say what it needs to be in. It just means you have to have that level of higher education. So they want to know you can be taught. So,
Yes. Exactly. But like I mean, again, local community colleges can start your child down the path of a trade, you know,
yes.
and you still have to go to trade school, right? So you're still probably going to get cheaper. Some trades you can just go to their school and work for them, you know. So you know what I mean? Oh, what is it? Like you go to school and then you have to work for whatever company that trains you for X amount of time, right?
Yes.
Yes, some have those, and so that may be an option later on. So then, as long as they will accept your high school transcript, right? So that you may not need this, but for a lot of kids, this is a very good option,
Mhm.
right? For my kids, this is going to be their option.
Well, yeah, for mine, it wasn't really hard to convince him because, when I look at the courses for high school, it's U.S. History 1, U.S. History
U.S.
2,
history too.
and government. And
Mhm.
then it's some science, right? 2 years of science classes. Then we have to take some sort of philosophy class, some sort of music or art class. These are all the same classes, the same types of classes you have to take in high school. All I did was tell my kid, hey, if you go here and take it, you only have to take it once.
One time, yeah,
But
versus
if you
taking it
go to
twice.
high school and then go to college, you have to take the same classes 2 times. And he goes, well, this
Yes.
is just a waste of time. And I was like, my point exactly. He goes, okay, I think we'll do it your way. It makes sense.
Exactly. Exactly. Orion is like the easiest person to convince. You can do it once or you can do it twice. Oh, I'm doing it once.
Once is good. Yes, we'll pay a little bit, do it one time. That's it. I'm like, you have to pay attention and do good. Okay. As long as I don't have to do it again, ever, I'm happy, right? That's him. So,
Exactly.
yep,
Exactly.
once for
I
the rest of
I
your life.
I completely agree.
No more US history after these next two. That's it. We're done.
I'm just wanting someone to go to the college and do the maritime because I know our local college here, they have the maritime degree and they have a simulator, which like
Simulator.
yes, a simulator where you can go into the simulator and it yes simulates you being out on the water in a boat.
Hmm.
They have fun toys at college too. See, they have
We
fun
just need
toys
to
at
buy a
college.
boat and you could drive it. It'll be like real life simulator.
Are you buying?
Well,
You
at some
buying? You
point
guys
I
want a
am.
boat?
Yeah, at some point I will. And we'll let you drive it. We'll get you somewhere safe where there's no rocks or people's docks or things like that, and we'll let you drive.
Well, my son does fencing, and the priest who actually teaches fencing is actually also a boat captain. And so, yeah,
All
I'm
right,
like, you need
fantastic.
to, yeah, exactly. I'm like, you need to get, well, I told him he needs to get me into that simulator, and he said he might be able to. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Maybe not, but the offer has been there.
Yes. So we digress.
Yes, absolutely.
These
Why not?
classes are very useful, and your children could have a career, not just a degree, whether they want a piece of paper to go on to the next piece of paper or they want their career. This is definitely the most economical and expedient way to do it.
Yes. And I will say this, like, even though we held my son back, right? So we made him graduate high school at 19 instead of 18. And that gave him that extra time that he needed to finish his associates. Um, Even that being said, he is still a year ahead of his counterparts that graduated high school, um, we'll say on time, right? So he
Hmm.
was supposed to graduate last year. And so now they have a year of college under their belts, right? But now Dylan graduated high school this year, but has 2 years of college. So he has 2 years left before he gets his degree, where his counterparts actually still have 3 years left. So even though like we held him
And
back, it didn't
and
hinder
that's
him.
assuming that any of them finish in 4 years, which
Exactly. Yes.
almost all kids now take 5 to finish.
Well, then he
So
might have 3 years, but
no, no, but I think
you know, but
taking that
he's
extra time in the
yeah,
beginning will make it so he doesn't have to do that at the end.
yeah.
And we're going to remain, I mean, that remains to be seen with his experience. But I really think that getting him that solid foundation in the beginning is going to make the rest of it much easier for him.
I
And
mean,
then
all
you're
he has
not
to
in
take
college. Like in college, the
forever
the
with a lot of debt.
direction, like the lack of direction that anybody has in
Yes.
college, you know, like you spend $40,000 on your first year and a half, 2 years, and you're like, well, you know what? I just think I want to go to school for something else. And then
Mhm.
you're gonna start over. Like nobody finishes in 4 years. So
And I
I
really think he will finish in two because all he has
I
left
think
is the
so.
core basic classes that he has to take for his bachelor's degree. Like all
Right.
the fluff classes, all the foo-foo classes, all his, you
All done.
the electives, all that kind of stuff, all the electives, all the like easier maths, that kind of stuff. He's already taken all of those. He literally just has 2 years left. Like he
That's
can
what I
already
mean.
see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm. And I think that that gives him an advantage, the fact that he had plenty of time to do that initial portion where people waste a lot of time. Because
Mhm.
people waste a lot of time that first 2 years of school
They do.
not
They always
having,
change their majors and all
not
kinds of
having
craziness. They
direction.
absolutely do.
Whereas
Mhm.
if you just go through that, keep the direction, do that course of study, then when you get down to the end, you can go, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do. And then all you need to take is classes towards your major and you're done.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
saves time and money. And I don't know, taking classes without direction. Like that's what I did in college. I was just like, well, I like this. I'll take this. I like this. And then I I left with like 120 credits of all different random stuff that didn't add up to any one particular thing. I mean, I got enough credits to graduate with something, but
You just
it's
don't
all
know
in
what.
different it's all in different stuff because I took electrical engineering classes, so I took all kinds of math, right? Because I love that. But then I really didn't love electrical engineering because I didn't like physics. I liked chemistry. So I didn't have anybody guiding me that should have said, "Hey, you should really change your major to chemical engineering." Instead, I just took a bunch of chemistry classes because they were fun. And then I ended up with just a mishmash of this is all the things I took. Here you go. Here's my transcript. And then it reads like, I don't know,
Crazy.
like a
It
bad
reads like
buffet,
crazy.
like a bad buffet menu, right? Like, what? Am I in a Mexican restaurant or a Cajun one? Like, I don't know. It's like Golden Corral, right? And each section
A
is
little
something
bit of
completely
everything.
different, right? And they're not really good at anything, but nothing sucks so bad you never want to go. So I don't, you know, it's just good enough. That's what my college transcript looks like. So even the tiniest bit of guidance will ensure that that doesn't happen to your kids. You don't want them to be a bad buffet. Well, I don't know. I love my job now and I'm old enough I don't care anymore. So it's good for me. It was fine. It worked out. But you know, younger kids, it's tough now finding work and finding something that you enjoy doing that is fulfilling and uh, pays well enough. So um, direction will help. for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So learn what your child would like or not like. I mean, sometimes it's a process of elimination. For Dylan, it
Mhm.
was, I don't want to work with my hands. I don't want to work outside. I don't
Mhm.
want to do this. Well, okay, if you don't
Right.
want to do these things, these are your options.
Right. And with Orion it's super easy because I was like, okay, computers, duh. I mean, that's what he's good at. He's into coding and he types like lightning fast. And so then it was pretty simple choice. Like these are computer options. And so just pick one. And he actually looked at me and goes, I don't care, pick one. And left because he looked at all the classes and went, oh, it's close enough. So I picked the one with the harder math because
Mhm.
that's what I do. So I was like, they're pretty much the same. Like computer information systems and computer science are pretty much the same, only one has kind of more like basic math classes, and one is actually set up to continue on as like a computer programmer or some sort of cybersecurity specialist or something like that, which requires a little bit more math skills. So I thought, let's get him the extra math skills now while he's younger, easier to learn when you're younger. And then when he gets to college, if he doesn't want to use that, great. He's taken the hardest stuff he'll have to take. And if he does, then he's prepped for, calculus 2, which is horrible because I took that, not fun. And I took calculus 3, and that was terrifying. But that's a whole nother video, really. That could be a
but
whole video talking about the insane experience I had at college.
but I think we will end on that note.
Yes.
But yes, so transcript for high school is different than your transcript for college. And like I said, anything that is a semester long is a half a credit, or that's how I did it. Honestly, you can
Yeah.
do it any way that you want to. That's just how I did it. You don't even have to do it that way. Um, it was just what made sense to me.
Right.
Also, I did not change his grades. If you do dual credit in high school, this is an important part. If you do dual credit in high school, the high school adds points to whatever grade you got from the college because they consider it to be harder than high school. So they add points. They add like 10 points or something to your grade. And so they changed your college grade to a high, what they, I guess, high school grade, right? I
Hmm.
did not feel comfortable changing his grades, so I left them on his high school transcript what they were at the college. Again, that's a personal preference. Again, it's whatever you decide. In the state of Texas, anyway, it's very lenient, and it is whatever you decide to do. You do not have to follow my suggestions or Jennifer's suggestions. You can do something completely different. This is just kind of a guide to kind of help you along the way. Um,
Hmm.
but like I said, this is just what I did and what Jennifer's doing. Um, but yeah, you can add points. So if they got a B in their, history one at their local college and on their high school transcript, you could potentially give them, an A. Again, that's just completely and totally up to you. And it is something that is very common with high schools and college and dual credit.
Okay. That's
So,
interesting. I didn't
but
know
like I
that.
said, yeah, but it is something that I personally didn't feel comfortable doing. I felt like
Yeah.
if they're going to get the transcripts from the college, they know what those grades really were,
They already
and
know.
I don't think me adding points to them was like an appropriate thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was
You got a
just
very
me.
sneaky.
Yeah, it kind of weirded me out a little bit, but I'm
Yeah.
like, so I'm just leaving the grades as is. But like I said, it is a very common thing for a high school to add 10 points to that because it's considered a harder class.
I don't know. I could see a school doing it. I can't see me doing it. I think I just make
But
my
it,
kid do better.
yeah, but it is
Like,
always an option. Like,
yeah,
I mean, again, if you feel comfortable doing that or you want to do that, that is absolutely your choice.
an acceptable practice.
Yes.
Hmm,
And a
okay.
regular practice that colleges are aware of and are, kind of expect, I guess, is something that they look at and go, okay, and don't think anything of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I'd rather lighten the load, give him extra time, and expect him to excel at those
Mhm.
classes and do well. And I think that would help with the grades a little bit, just like making sure the load's not too heavy so that he can really focus on, two or three classes instead of just being weighed down with like four or five. That's why I want more time. I think
And
that would
that's
work
always an
better.
option. So when Dylan went, he did full time. He did 4 classes, which is considered full time.
Yeah, but he
Orion
did it
continued
smart too because he did two
to,
and then
and then
two.
two.
So
Yep.
not really four lopped all onto each other, which,
But it was a lot of work.
yes,
Because they condensed they condensed the 16 weeks into 8 weeks. So it was a ton of work, but it was only centered around those 2 classes versus a little bit of work for 4 classes.
yeah, which is a little more scattered in my opinion. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it
it
sounds
is.
like a
It
good way
is.
to do it.
It is. Again, like what the lady though told you, it depends on the class and
Right,
how much
right,
extra time that student is going to need, right,
right.
in
So
that
for Orion,
subject.
like when we're doing, if we're doing college algebra and we're doing calculus and when we're doing these long
Those things
history
he's going to
classes, we're doing them in 16 weeks. But when he takes like, he has to take a class, then he has to pick like music appreciation or art.
Dylan did theater, something about
Yeah,
theater
whatever.
appreciation.
That's
Yeah.
going to be an 8 week, right? Like we already decided that's going to be an 8 week. So the computer classes, he has like one each semester. I think there's like four of them that are specific to his degree. I think he needs to take those in 16 weeks because I'd like him to really absorb that material.
Mhm.
Um, but something lighter, maybe a communications class or something he could do in an 8 week, I think. But
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. We still get to meet with the guidance counselor and they're going
Yes.
to kind of give us a little chat about it. So once we meet with them and talk about the classes, then we'll be able to have another video about that too.
Yes. Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so we need to
Yes.
wrap this up because we keep talking.
I know we do. But yes, again, these are just suggestions. They're not like this is what you have to do to be successful. This is just a suggestion, and this is just how we are doing it with our kids. And again, in the state of Texas, you kind of have a lot of leeway. This is just what's worked for us, and we do have friends and know people who have done it completely different, and that's
Mm,
okay too. This is just a lot of people ask us about these specific topics that we talk about, and specifically it's a huge thing that comes up is college and transcripts and how did we do this and how did we do this. And I mean, I just think it's a smart decision to kind of do it this way if you can do it this way,
mhm,
because it just sets your kids up so much better, I guess, in the long run, right? Where, like I said, we talked about it. Dylan's got 2 years left and he's done with his bachelor's degree.
mhm.
I mean, it, I don't know if he could do it any other way, right? I mean, you can. I mean, I guess you could go to high school and do it a different way, but for us, it just seems like the no-brainer way.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I wish I had more guidance, like I said, when I was in school. So I'm grateful to be able to do this for my child because I think it will make his whole school experience a lot more positive, you know,
Hmm.
and a lot more focused and take advantage of the time in his life a lot better because, and we all know that's in short supply.
Yes.
The only thing you can't buy. You can make all the money in the world, can't buy more
Yeah, buy
time.
time. Exactly. And
So,
on that note, yes, like, subscribe,
yes,
share. We have
thank
gone
you.
crazy in this video,
I
and
know. And thank you for
mom's gone
watching.
off
If you've made
topic.
it to the end of this video, God bless you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You should get a whole credit for that.
Exactly. Exactly.
You could probably make your kids watch all these videos and give them a credit for it. Homeschool and preparatory work. Anyways,
Like, share,
like and
subscribe,
subscribe.
and give us a thumbs up, and we will see you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.